Hello and good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you guys who are online right now, and for those of you who are going to watch this program later, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Solomon Nizan Ashams. It's great to be with you this day, where we're going to be looking at, something that's been going around South Africa right now. In case you are not in South Africa and you are not aware of what's going on, well, tonight you're going to be aware of what's going on regarding the life of a bishop, Bishop Stephen Zondo. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. I always want to check my mic, and I can only check my microphone with you guys. If you can hear me, just give me a shout out. Can we say hello to each other? Let me know where you are, where you're watching from. I would really appreciate that. Just let me know where you're watching from. I would appreciate that. Let's see that. All right. Yeah. Watching from Newcastle. Oh, okay. I thought it was a Newcastle here. We have a Newcastle here in KZN. Lady A from Centurion, Naomi from Germany. Dankisha. Oh, wow. For the first time, I saw somebody from Azerbaijan. I'm sure I said it correctly. Azerbaijan. I hope you're safe. I see there's some sort of like a bit of a tension between Armenia and Azerbaijan right now. Ambrose in Lagos. Mosala from Ferenican. Shiku locked in Kenya. For real. Yeah, Honey, she is from East London. It's from Sekunda. Beauty. And then Lemohang from Lesotho. Kialebu. From Deep Clove. Yes, George from Deep Clove. There's somebody here who's okay, from Mushtown, Limpopo. Never heard of that. That's great. Never heard of that. Lati, thank you. Ivan from Alberton. Gianni, Selby, Etswatini. There are people from there. Lerato, regular from Parabola. Soul from Ireland. Naomi, Kenya. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Tonight I'm gonna be brief. I always say I'm gonna be brief and then I just keep going. But tonight I hope I'm not gonna go over 30 minutes because I'm just gonna give you an update of something that I've been on for quite a while now. And tonight we're looking at Bishop Zondo exposed. Bishop Stephen Zondo exposed. Now, I maybe in the next few weeks I'm going to bring some of the people who have exposed them. But this is a case that I've been pursuing for quite a while now. With Bishop Stephen Zondo. Just to give you a bit of a background for those of you guys who don't know who Bishop Stephen Zondo is, just so you can Google him much later. Bishop Stephen Zondo, as they call him, he is based in the south of Johannesburg. South Africa here. He runs a church called Rivers of Living Waters Ministries. So he is quite a big church. Most times his teachings and preaching are in Sotho, and Sotho is one of the major languages in South Africa. People in Botswana, also in Lesotho, they also do understand that. So most of it, he speaks English very well, but he loves to teach in Sotho. He has a very large congregation. He's currently building a very large church. I think they said the budget is about 200 million or so. And he has branches, across South Africa, down in Botswana also. So many, I think in the last count, they said they got about 80 branches. So more or less, he runs some sort of a fairly huge ministry. I didn't know about him until I think about 10 years ago. Somebody got in touch with me after I had written stuff about TB Joshua, exposing TB Joshua's atrocities. And somebody called me and now told me, hey, there's this guy called Bishop Zondo who's on TV, and he's actually talking about you, discrediting you. And, for me, it wasn't a big deal because I didn't even know who he was, you know. So I sort of like mute everything and didn't really, you know, get the time to talk about him. But over the years, a lot was been happening, and people have been coming to me and telling me stuff that's been going on there. About 5 or 6 years ago, there was a huge, almost like a riot outside his church because some members felt that he was involved in witchcraft and he uses witchcraft on people, and they almost burned his church. There was quite a lot of problems around it. Now, until recently, when I got in touch by a guy called Pope Edi. I mean, some of you guys must have watched him, this week. Before we're gonna get to that anyway. So him and his wife were leaders of the church, and they left the church, and because of what they saw, they were top leaders. They helped him raise money. They helped him do a whole lot of stuff, and they now left, and they now people were coming to them with a lot of complaints, money issues, sexual abuse, a lot of it. So they sent me a list of like over 100 people that had been taken advantage of either sexually or financially, but most of them sexually, you know. So I kept digging because I knew there was something, in there, and it's just important for us to really uncover it, you know. And I started writing about him. I actually wrote some stuff. I think it was in last year that he almost, he was said he was taking me to court. He went to the newspapers. Now, this is if you follow me on Twitter, this was something I wrote. I wrote last year. And if you check out the date there, uh, I don't even remember what the date was. Okay, yeah, it's actually this year. Sorry, it was the 28th of January, 2020. Now, if you check it out there, I said Bishop Zondo's wife has left the family house, and that was where the drama between him and I started this year, outside of the previous years. And in this case, that's Bishop Zondo with his wife, and he was involved with his HR and HR manager Itumeleng, who he allegedly have been having sex in the church, outside of the church, in the church office. And her husband is also, a leader in the church, and that's what he does. That's what. So you can check this out. It's online. That's what Zondo does. And so now this is Bishop Zondo. For those of you guys who don't know him and haven't seen him before, so this is Bishop Stephen Zondo. Now, a lot of them, do take quite a lot of stuff. Hey, my family is just noisy here. Now, there's quite a lot of stuff that I uncovered around him, and when I got to find that out, I became vocal about it, because there's quite a lot of stuff. We're gonna get to it. I'm building this up just so when we zoom into what has been happening this week, because this week all the victims, some of the victims that are agreed and are ready, they appeared before the CRL Rights Commission. Now, if you're not South African, you would be wondering what is the CRL Rights Commission. Now, the CRL Rights Commission is almost like, it's not like the Charity Commission in the UK, but the CRL is Cultural, Religion, and Linguistics, right? Let me just write it down for you here, so you can see it and understand what I'm talking about. So it's called the CRL Commission. The CRL Commission, so it's Cultural, Religion, Linguistic Commission. So this is like, it was set up constitutionally to protect and to also regulate sort of culture, religion, and linguistics, right? So they have to make sure that if religion leaders are not doing what is right, they need to talk to them. Or if people are being taken advantage of through religion, they have to, but they also have to protect religion, that people do not abuse religion, people do not just abuse any religion because you're this religion and then you abuse other religion, all that kind of thing, but you tolerate and understand each other. And then there's culture, the different cultures in South Africa, they're also supposed to protect and also and help them. And then there's linguistics, obviously, when it comes to the different languages that's being spoken. So this week, the victims that Zondo has abused, and Zondo has, some of them, they appeared today, yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, Tuesday, today, Wednesday, and tomorrow is going to be the last day, Thursday. Yeah, and I was at the hearing yesterday. So it's a hearing. The CRL Commission organizes a hearing. They had organized a hearing even for Prophet Bushiri. Some people call him Prophet Bushiri, but for me, he's a charlatan. Last year, I think it was last year when his building, part of his church, fell down and people lost their lives. They organized a hearing, and he came to the commission. So they basically have the authority to summon you, because even yesterday I was talking to one of the commissioners of the CRL Commission. Now they're talking to the victims Tuesday, Wednesday, today, and tomorrow, the last day, Thursday. Now they would have to give him an opportunity to come answer the allegations or what was said by the victims. And it's only right to do that. Now, they're going to make sure they take everything that they had said, they transcribe it, they send it to him to study, and then they invite him, and so he could get ready to know what they said, what he did, just like going to court, isn't it? So it's kind of like a mini court, and they have investigated, and they have created hearing, not just around Christianity, but around other faith, around languages, around culture, So I was actually talking to one of the commissioners. I said, I hope he's going to show up to answer to all the allegations. And the commissioner was like, well, if he doesn't want to show up, we would summon him, So they have the right. So they could go to court, right, and legally force him to appear. If he doesn't, then he would be sort of like arrested. So they will legally force him. I think the former president of South Africa is going through that right now with the Zondo Commission, where they invited him and he doesn't want to appear, and they had to summon him. So a former president, you cannot not want to appear. So that's what has been going on. Now, Zondo, a couple of months ago, I think was it before the lockdown or during the lockdown, there was a popular TV program on one of the DSTV station, Mojalov, for those of you guys who are not in South Africa, and it's called Abafundisi. So it's just basically talking about pastors and their lifestyle and issues around that, and what pastors faces and all that kind of thing, just the lives of pastors. So I was there one time and they invited me. I featured a little bit in some of the episodes, and I actually spoke about him, and he allegedly said that he came on, also tried to defend himself, and so he said that I accepted a bribe of 1 million rand. Now that is very, for you to cheapen the gospel and truth and summarize it in a bribe of 1 million rand, because the gospel, the truth is priceless. So I'm not the kind of person that would accept money from anyone. No, if I wanted to make money of what I do, I have a lot of stuff on pastors and prophets. I would tell them, give them my price, name my price, and then they pay me. Then I kill the story, because victims come to me with stories Omotosho, victims have come to me. Bushiri, quite a lot of stories, a lot of these guys. But that's not who I am. That's not how do I live with my conscience, knowing that I accepted money, that I wasn't supposed to, and I accepted money just, the wrong way. I'm not that kind of person. So we have to be very clear about that. So he attacked me, and he actually went to the newspapers and also attacked me. And I actually wrote the newspaper. I said, look, this guy attacked me, and what he said is not the truth. So I believe I have, you have to give me the right to reply him, you know. And this was an article that I wrote in one of the Sunday newspapers in reply to what Zondo was saying about me, how he was trying to tarnish my credibility and all that. And I wrote an article entitled "The Unfair Christian Fate of Bishop Zondo," and I said if he is a God-fearing man, he must ask for forgiveness. And for me, the atrocities that Zondo had committed, now give you a background a little bit. Bishop Zondo, as they call him himself, he's been close to TB Joshua, I think, for the last 20 years. He used to take trips down to TB Joshua in Lagos quite a lot. He used to take groups to TB Joshua quite a lot because he was trying to tap into that miraculous, that they think that TB Joshua has, not knowing that all he does is just magic. And so he was frequenting there, and he got to this place. I think there was a bit of desperation for him to see his church grow, a desperation for him to see to grow, to have a big church, to be able to see big crowd and have money and all that kind of stuff. I believe he has started on a good note. I always believe most pastors and prophets and bishops that are even charlatans today or false prophets, I feel that they started on a good note. I don't think that they just have the intention of defrauding people from day one when they started. I believe God gave them a vision, and and that's very credible. But it's not about you being called. It's about how you live the life of someone who's been called. So I feel the pressures of life, the cares of this world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, got the best of them. And now they begin to compromise and backslide. Still preaching. That's why you can see a lot of them quoting scriptures and really having that aura about them that you think that they are legit men of God. But they've fallen out of grace long time ago. People like Zondo, they've fallen long time ago. So Zondo himself has 2 kids and his wife. And from my investigations, Zondo uses basically witchcraft a lot. Now, there are different people that he targets. He targets young girls and he grooms them, and then he somehow invades their spirit. So you would hear a lot of them saying, whilst they are sleeping, he came to them and have sexual intercourse with them. Now, if you understand this, the spiritual, that's normal. They're not the only first people. There are other people that I've met who would tell me how, in my dream, I saw this pastor and all that. You would think it was just a dream, but it's not a dream. It's an intentional thing. And you allow the bishop or the pastor or the prophet to invade your life. And Zondo does that a lot. He would always use the word, do you trust me? Do you trust me? And once you say you trust them, and these young girls, they see him as a father, as a father figure. Do you trust me? Do you trust me? And he uses oil also on them. He will give them oil or water and tell them how to use it. The fact that you take those elements, the oil and the waters, and you use it, you actually opening yourself up for whatever he wants to do in you and through you. You see, that's why all the elements you see in church, they're not just there for them to sell the water or the oil or the handkerchief to make money. That's not just it. But there are spiritual deposit that has been deposited in each of these elements that is gonna create problems in your life that you keep coming back to them. That's gonna give them entry point into your life. So a lot of these young girls are like, no, they will be sleeping and he will come into their dream vision and they would have intercourse with him. And they don't like it. And I remember one of the girls, she said when she told him, he just laughed. But she never knew that actually that the spiritual is it's so real that you could actually do that, you know. And then there are women that he sleeps with. Now, his wife is the one that does marriage counseling for the church. But the marriage, her role is just to sort of like filter or to interview the woman and then pass it on to him. So some of the women that he knows, so he is in collaboration with his wife. All the women that are vulnerable, he passed it on to him, and he would, in his office, he would say, "You're praying for them." He would tell them to remove their clothes, and then he would have sex with them. And they are hypnotized. They actually like didn't know what was happening. And sometimes he would tell them, "No, he's fine." He slept with so many wives of the pastors, younger pastors in his church. You know the devil is so wicked. That's why you see Zondo. He will sleep with anybody, with all the people around him. Even his niece, when he was young, I think she said he was around 18. You know, he sexually abused her, and she appeared at the commission yesterday. So the commission yesterday, we have Pope AD and his wife, and Pope AD was basically giving an overview from a leader's perspective, a former leader's perspective. And his wife came and was given the overview of the monies, how Zondo spends money. Now, Rivers of Living Waters, which is ministries, which is a church that he runs, is actually structured in such a way that he's the owner. And people don't understand that. So he has a trust, a family trust, and he moves monies from the church account into the trust account. Right? With nobody stopping him. And you ask yourself, don't they have a board? Don't they have a board of directors? Don't they have elders? But all of them listen to him. And if you don't want to adhere to instructions, what he is saying, then you get kicked out. Or when you get kicked out, obviously, they kick you out and create certain lies around you to discredit you, to say you have a problem. And that's what happened to Pope Eddie and his wife also. You know, there was a time he moved, I think, about 50 million from the church's account, which was for the building funds, the building that they're building now. So the money was supposed to go in for the building, and he moved it into family trust. Right. And so the church is supposed to be a not-for-profit, but he has a company that is registered. All the water, the oil, the uniforms, and everything, the company that he owns is the one that produces all these elements for the church that he sells in the church. Right? It's sort of like crazy, isn't it? So, and you wonder, but he has made so much money, but it's still not enough for him. That's what happens when you get into the hands of Satan. It's never going to be enough. You would have all the money, it's never going to be enough. You would have all the houses, it's never going to be enough. You would have all the this, it's never going to be enough. It's always just not going to be enough. And that's a big problem. Now, he moves money. He creates dinner where people pay 20,000 for a seat for you to attend. golf day where you pay so much money. You would think you're giving to the church, but you are actually giving to him, to his business. He's the one that owes everything. And he follows young pastors, their wives. You know, there's one of the guys that gave a testimony. His own side of the story where Zondo comes to his house, to his wife. You know, and he has all the spiritual powers. He's evil and everything. So let me just read something for you, just so you can understand what I'm talking about. So one of the victims, who is also, like I told you, the niece of Bishop Zondo, she said a teenage Zondo was like 18 then, he raped her when she was just 7 years of age. That's what his niece said. 18 and he was 7, she was 7. And he gave me 1 rand and a handful of sweets and told me not to tell anyone. You know, and his sister also appeared at the commission yesterday. Her name is Kabo. She said, my mother's child is a snake. That is Zondo. He is a witch. My brother's church is that of the devil. That's his sister speaking. As women in South Africa, we pray that the justice system puts him in prison. Right? So there was, these are just I'm just giving you some sort of an overview. You know, there was also a mother that he allegedly slept with the mother, and then he slept with the daughter, and then he got the daughter pregnant. So that's how out of control Zondo is. And there's also somebody that said that he is a murderer. You know, she's a mother. So the allegations are too much. I mean, from your niece who said you raped her when she was 7, and she actually said, I remember we were playing in the yard with my friends, and Zondo called me inside the house to come wash his socks. When I got to the bathroom, there was no socks. I waited for him to bring the socks, but he came back a few minutes later and called me to the bedroom that belonged to our grandmother. She said he instructed her to lie on the bed before he removed her underwear. As I lay on the bed, he removed his pants, and I remember clearly he was wearing blue underwear. He removed his underwear and applied Vaseline on his genitals, as well as his this, and proceeded to rape me. This happened 3 more times before she decided to run away. She said, this affected me. I was a smart child, but after the incident, I couldn't pay attention in school, obviously, for a 7-year-old. I stopped attending family gatherings as I was afraid of him when I was older. So that's the what his niece, you know, was saying. Well, some of you will say, has he repented? Maybe he has repented. You know, if you repented, you know, it's easy. If you repented, you ask for forgiveness. Yes, you ask God for forgiveness, but you also ask your victims for forgiveness. But clearly, he hasn't seek for forgiveness. And obviously, this has been troubling her. Yesterday, she was actually crying when she was testifying, when she was giving, you know, her side of the story, you know. So there was also Mofa King, who was introduced to the church by her aunt in 2008 rather. She said Mofa King said she joined the church after being in an abusive relationship as she was starting to get over trauma until she was called to come to the church. Now, Mofa King, her first name is Bongi, you know. She said, the day I went to the church, I was made to wait in the room, and then one usher came in and told me to undress so that he could lather me with the anointing oil. And he does that a lot. I was shocked, but I undressed. She claimed this led to her having sexual dreams about Zondo and would regularly consult with him for guidance. In one of their meetings, Zondo allegedly raped her at the Formula One hotel in Southgate, Johannesburg, and allegedly offered her 75,000 rand for her silence. So you could see. So we're looking at, I just wanted to give you a brief of what has been going on at the hearing this week. And I would want you to please take your time to Google the name Bishop Stephen Zondo and read some of the articles. Tomorrow is going to be the final day. And read some of the articles that have been written, about him. He has lost it so much because he's so politically connected. He's friends with a lot of the ANC leaders, some of the ministers, South African ministers, top politicians, celebrities, top businessmen. He's friends with them, and he rolled like that. And he's very arrogant also, because he has to use his arrogance to defend and to protect himself from whatever is going to be exposed concerning him. This is a man whose kids are totally gone off. His son doesn't do much at the church, but they pay him far more than almost everybody there. His daughter, sadly, she's become addicted to alcohol. His son is married, but anytime his wife is pregnant, they lose the baby, they lose the baby, they lose the baby. It's almost like 5-6 times now. All these things are not normal. They're not normal. We might think that they're normal, but they're not normal. You have to ask that question. Like I said, his wife left him late last year. Don't know what the problem was between them, and she had to come back after they had decided to. When I took the lead of it and exposed that, they had to reconcile quickly so they can get her back at home and back in church, just so he's not going to show that there is some sort of crack in the family, in the marriage. So we have to really think about that, and because of our advocacy, and especially Caesar Kelly, Popedi, and Soli Popedi, the couple that were leaders there and left, and they've been in this crusade against him. A lot of his church members left. Even some of his church leaders, his branches in Botswana, some of them decided to disassociate themselves from Rivers of Living Waters, which is ministries, which is his church. Some churches in Limpopo decided to do that, because what you are looking at here, this man, you are seeing somebody who is as evil as you can get. As evil as you can get. Where he doesn't care even if lives are lost. He doesn't care even if lives are destroyed. Even if marriages, families are destroyed. This is somebody that would preach and tell you straight that, yeah, he's sleeping with women, but, they just have to forgive him. He's just human. This is somebody that will preach against family values, to tell you how much this guy has become, arrogant and totally away from the Lord Jesus. Should we pray for him? Yes, we should pray for him. But at the end of the day, with the atrocities that this man has created, not just him, but him in conjunction with his wife. You see his wife, I tell people, a lot of these people, you think Bushiri's wife doesn't know what he's doing with women and what he's doing with money? She knows. Zondo's wife, you think they don't know? They don't just know, they are part of the scam. Omotoshaw's wife, you think they don't know? They know, they're part of the scam. So do not even think that the pastors' wives are innocent in this. No. If they're innocent and they have the Spirit of God, they would have left this man long time ago. They would have left their husband long time ago. They would have said, look, I'm going out of the house until you get your life in order. I'm not coming back. When you get your life in order, I'm coming back. I don't I'm not the kind of guy that advocates divorce or whatever, but there needs to be some sort of separation. But they sleep on the same bed. And women have that thing that they know what's going on. You don't need to tell them, they pick it up. That's sixth sense, you know. So she's not innocent. He's not innocent. He's a big, what do you call him? Big charlatan. And he travels. And if you see him, he does events in stadiums sometimes. You have to understand who I'm talking about. For those of you guys who are not in South Africa, he's on TV, you know, regularly. When he has an event, he brings people, ministers, even the president. There was a time that he had an event. He actually brought Bushiri and Mboro. By the way, I still owe you guys. I have an audio that I recorded. Mboro called me out of nowhere a couple of months ago, and he was just abusing me and all that. I recorded it, so I'm gonna maybe tomorrow or maybe next week. I'm gonna play it out for you guys to listen to. The character of such people. You think they're prophets, they're men of God, they're men of the cloth. No, they're not. They're not at all. So, the ground is gradually sinking with Zondo. His church members are living in drought. And he is beginning to feel he's not making enough money. He's going around shouting. But I think this week is one of the biggest assaults on his atrocities on the life of Zondo, because he's now all over the newspaper. He's there in the news. People are talking about it on TV. He's live on TV. Sometimes they talk about it. And his branches and his members are gradually living one by one, step by step. And that's what it is. That's very important. We have to be able to understand that. And you ask me, why do we do what we do? This is why we do what we do. To talk about issues like this, just so people would see the light and be able to know that, look, we need to change. We need to do things differently. As long as there are people like this, we'll keep talking about it. And because it's important. It's very, very important. So, Zondo, I don't even know what to say about this guy, because this is a guy who allegedly, building his church, he actually dug a big hole and put in a live cow, into the hole and cover them, the foundation of the church. There's just a whole lot of stuff, that I'm gonna bring some of the guys that have worked with him, just so you can hear it from them, because I've spent time with them and I've been on this case for years. I've been investigating him, and people have been coming and people have been talking about it. And this is the right time for us to really continue to do that. So please, if you have any love for the gospel, for truth, you would continue to encourage other people who are going to such churches to think again, and to try to help them to disengage from churches and cults like this and charlatans like this. And we continue to pray for those who are enslaved and those who are in bondage in such cults and churches. And we continue to speak the truth, because that is what it's all about. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. I said I was going to take 30 minutes, but I'm taking over time. I just wanted to give you some sort of a feedback from the hearing, the CRL Commission hearing in South Africa around Bishop Stephen Zondo, and some of the victims that have appeared before the hearing yesterday, today, and also tomorrow, giving their side of the story. And we have to keep digging, because that is just important. So we keep digging, we keep digging, we keep digging. This guy is a charlatan who is involved in deep witchcraft. He has left the Lord long time ago by virtue of the fact that he uses witchcraft in church. abuses women sexually, siphon money that is supposed to be for the gospel, that people give for the gospel, taken away from the poor. Uh, there's no way we should be quiet, or there's no way we can be quiet, because it's not just the right thing to do, you know. But Zondo definitely, my desire is to see justice upon Zondo. He would do whatever it takes to protect himself. He would get all the big lawyers and all that because he has the money. He would pay the police. There are so many cases that was open at the police station in Everton where he's at, but the cases just keep disappearing. Case number disappear. The investigating officer would not even investigate. People have been threatened over and over again. Some of the victims, once they say something, they either offered money or they are being threatened. That cannot go on. So I want to thank you guys. Thank you, everyone. Please, I want to encourage you to share this video right now. Share it or tag some people that may, you would want to see them maybe, go through the video. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, if you're watching on YouTube, please, just click the subscribe button. And if you're on Facebook, please subscribe on my YouTube channel, Solomon's Temple. Thank you so much, guys. God bless you. And let's continue to stand on the truth. Let's continue to share the truth. And because that is just important. That is who we are. God bless you and have a wonderful evening.